Good evening, everyone. Hello. Sort of feel like a classroom teacher, although I've never had the occasion to be a teacher. But good evening and welcome to our celebratory function. We are ready to start in a minute or so. So please feel comfortable where you are. Just as any other occasion, please turn your cell phones to, vibrate mode. And if you want to use any of the restrooms, the facilities are right across. And we hope to have a very informative and entertaining section. And I think I'll invite Gautam Prakash to get the ball rolling. Once he finishes his water, or whatever is in that glass, we don't know. But please give a round of applause for Gautam Prakash.
Thank you. Sorry, my senior moment. I have to switch to my reading glasses. So, hello, family and friends and well-wishers of IDRF. As we gather to celebrate the publication of my father's memoir, Service Before Self, a journey of courage, a journey of conviction, courage, and commitment, as well as the 30-year-plus history of India Development and Relief Fund. And at a personal level, we want to celebrate my parents' 6 decades plus union, and my dad having crossed... And my dad having crossed 90 years old. So many things to celebrate today. First, a bit about my dad. He was born into a family of freedom fighters in Meerut, India in 1933. His commitment to social justice was so strong that even at age 16, he participated in a satyagraha movement inspired by Mahatma Gandhi and was imprisoned for 2 months. Fortunately, got out in time for his exams. He was the first in his family to fly, traveling to Boston to attend MIT for his PhD. He taught at the University of Rhode Island and then worked for the World Bank for 20 years before taking early retirement to pursue his life's calling in Seva, which means service to society. He established IDRF as a public charity to serve the marginalized in India and now across South Asia. In 2010, he went totally blind, yet has still taken IDRF to even greater heights, where it has become one of the largest and highest rated nonprofits focused on India, having raised over $55 million at a minimal overhead of less than 3%. An enduring and inspirational legacy. So at the heart of this memoir is a profound exploration of family values where duty takes precedence over rights. His story is a testament to the enduring strength found within the embrace of family and the call to make a positive impact on the world. Service Before Self, though, is not just a memoir. It is a celebration of the human capacity for growth, the strength derived from cultural roots, and the transformative force of service. This memoir is a call to embrace life with courage, to uphold convictions in the face of adversity, of which he has had much, and to find purpose in service to others. It is a heartfelt narrative that invites readers to reflect on their own journeys and the profound impact any one of us can have on the world. So without further ado, and not too delayed under Indian Standard Time, we are excited to bring you this program today. I'd like to now introduce Rajiv Jain, who you just heard from, Executive Director of IDRF, who will be our MC for the evening. Rajiv.
Okay. So as Gautam mentioned, we are celebrating Dr. Vinod's life, particularly the achievements over the last 35 years, which have been deeply intertwined with the work and IDRF support that he has given. This is a very joyous occasion for us, IDRF. We have never done a celebration like this before, so I'm sure there'll be some hiccups. So just please forgive us or just say, "Aisa to hota hi hai." So anyway, But let me start by introducing the IDRF team with your first hiccup, yeah, something. So let's first do some introductions here. As Gautam mentioned, I'm the executive director for IDRF. I have known Vinodji and Sarlaji for about 30 years when they were at the World Bank. I was also at the bank for some time. But let's introduce our team members. They will just stand where they are and just wave to you. We'll go by the seniority of tenure. So first is Neeti Duggal. She's right over there. Neeti worked with IDRF initially in the operations team, and then she does all our communications. All the newsletters, presentations, the slides, social media postings. I think the hundreds of things Neeti is called upon to do. So then next is Vandana Matravede. She's over there. I can bet a small amount that all our NGOs know Vandana, even if they don't know Vinodji or me, they will all know Vandana. Well, she wires all the funds to them, so they know where the money comes from. Vandana has been with us for nearly 8 years, really dedicated soul, and we are very fortunate to have us in our team. And then I want to introduce Mrs. Bhanumati Ramakrishna. She's at the desk there. Banuji is involved with a lot of charitable organizations like Shankar Netralaya, Shiva Vishnu Temple. She runs her own audit and accounting practice and also helps us in accounting, finance, bookkeeping, audit, all those things you take for granted, but they're really important to run an organization. Thank you, team. Next, we'll go to our board. We have a 9-member board. The chairman is sitting on the stage here, Vinodji. But I'll ask first Dr. Suresh Gupta to stand up. Suresh Gupta is the vice chairman of the board. He needs no introduction. Everyone knows Dr. Gupta and the social work he's been doing in the area for the last 40, 50 years, I believe. Next is Prem Garg. Prem is here. Please stand up. Prem is the treasurer for IDRF. And then we have a secretary who's missing in action today. Unfortunately, she didn't keep her schedule proper. So Shubhra Garg, who's our secretary for the IDRF board. And then we have 2 other board members here. Nisha Narayan, she's over there. And Ms. Kavita Sethi. So we'll dwell on this later, but we really make our board work harder than we work. So it's a really hands-on working board, unlike many other places where a board seat is just a position somewhere you come and have some chai pani and you show your face and you're done. Here we really make our board members participate very positively with us. How could I forget Adesh Jain? Thank you, Anna. Adesh ji is also one of our board members. So, yes, thank you. I told you Vanna keeps us on track. This is a good example of that. And last but not least, we have an advisory council, which has 5 members, out of which 4, I believe, are still here present with us. One is Dr. Sixaria. He's got the most important role for us. He's Dr. Vinod Prakash, personal physician, also for the last 20 years. So we are eternally grateful for all the support he provides to the family. Then we have Dr. Madhu Mohan. Is he still here? He left town, sorry. And then we have Mr. Rajesh Kuti. I think Rajesh is here. See how much marketing he does for us. He's the only one who stood with both the brochures in his hand. And then Ms. Neetu Gupta. I think she was, yeah, there she is. Neetu has helped us tremendously in many of the strategic direction that the IDRF has been taken, including appointment for myself as the executive director and other marketing directions we want to follow. So coming to the business at hand, we are focusing on 2 things really, in all said and done. First is we are going to highlight Vinodji's memoir, as Gautam mentioned. And second is, many of you have heard of IDRF, most of you are donors of IDRF, but we want to give you an overview of some of the key activities we've been involved with. So also we have the book that we are highlighting here, available at the desk that Neeti, Banuji and Harsh are manning. Anyone who wants to purchase the book, many of you must have got it mailed to you. We sort of had a mailing list. But if anyone wants to purchase the book, all donations by Dr. Prakash will be given to IDRF. Now, needless to say, IDRF runs on donations. We don't get any grants, we don't get any subsidies. It's purely a donor-driven organization. So there's also a pledge card we have in front of you. And our board has been very generous. Most of our board members have said if any pledges are made today, Up to 100K, they will match. So if you pledge $1,000, the board members are pledging to match 1,000. Obviously, there's a limit. So Rajiv ji, if you want to pledge 200,000, we'll only cut it to 100K. Yeah, you could go high, please. I'll have to consider that with the board. Anyway, some of our NGOs have, two of them particularly have sent some videos we'll show. And the treat, I think, personally, is we have a very internationally accomplished flute player who's with us. We'll have a 10-minute flute recital. Those of you who love Indian classical music, and I know many of you do, well, I think that's a treat for us. And then last, before I hand over, is we want to highlight some local 501(c)(3)s also. Although our main clients, if you will, the main focus is NGOs in India, and that's where 90%, actually 98% of our funds go to. But we also have a young lady over there in the corner, Nupur Punjabi. She's running Anna Sudha Community Kitchen. They were formed in 2021 during the COVID-19 pandemic, and she supports about 6,000 homeless meals a month. So I was going to introduce her after dinner, but the refreshments were so good that I thought, let me jump the gun and do the introduction now. So for any of your, social engagements where you need a caterer, Nupur is there. It's Anna Sudha Community Kitchen, and they're based in Chantilly, Virginia. Thank you, Nupur, for all your work you're doing for the homeless in the area. So now I'd like to introduce Anjali Prakash. Anjali is Vinodji's daughter-in-law. She'll read to us a tribute she wrote in the memoir. Anjali and Gautam got married in 1997, and they moved to this area in 2006. She's an assistant professor at Harvard University School of Law and teaches their first-year legal writing class. So I'm going to sit down and take it easy, and Anjali, all yours. Thank you.
Hello. Hello to all our family and friends. It is so good to see you here. Welcome again to the celebration of life for Mom and Dad, as exemplified by Dad's memoir. We are so honored that all of you could be here today to celebrate the publication of Dad's memoir and to recognize both Mom and Dad's impact on the world through their founding of IDRF. And I am purposefully using the plural here, not the singular, since there would be no IDRF without Mom's unwavering support over more than 6 decades for both the family and for Dad's strong desire to give back to their motherland. When Mom suggested that Dad write his memoir, it felt daunting, a daunting task to all of us. We wondered how this would happen with Dad's blindness, but in Ramesh Rao, we found a savior. Rameshji is a professor of communication at Columbus State University in Georgia. He has taught in the United States for nearly 40 years and has written or co-authored about 6 books on communications and Indian politics and society. His wife, Sujaya, and he have a son, Sudhanva, who is graduating from the University of Georgia next month. Rameshji has known Mom and Dad for over 2 decades and agreed to organize a series of interviews, dozens of hours long, with Dad, and then to turn those interview transcripts into the narrative you see here in the book. We are honored that Rameshji was able to travel here today to conduct this fireside chat with Dad. Before we begin, I would like to share the tribute that Gautam and I wrote for the memoir, which is at the beginning of the book. Dear Mom and Dad, some years ago, I read a phenomenal book called All the Light We Cannot See. It is a compelling story about a young blind girl trying to survive during World War II in France. The title's reference to light and vision directly alludes to the girl's blindness, but it also signifies so much more. The narrative captures the theme of light found in the darkness of wartime. Specifically, one of the soldiers in a war bunker Here's a late 1930s broadcast about a rare scientific phenomenon. It is a phenomenon of the brain's power to create light in darkness. That even in pitch black, the brain can somehow see without the use of one's eyes. It's through the force of memory, willpower, and imagination. This concept so captured my imagination that I felt compelled to share this with Gautam, and we were both struck by how much that metaphor, that idea of seeing light in darkness, reminds us of both of you. We celebrate and honor your power to create light in darkness, Mom and Dad. It is after all your namesake, Prakash. And you have both cultivated this ability for many decades. When your family resisted the British occupation of India, you were creating that light. When you started IDRF many decades ago, you understood that a bright spot needed to exist in what was a dark void. And to be sure, that challenge was made even more difficult when Dad lost his eyesight. But the light of your spirit and vision did not waver. You did not stop doing what you had already been doing. And now you are there to help cultivate that same power to see light in darkness, guiding the way for those like-minded in their commitment to serve. A few years ago, we took our kids to see the Broadway musical, Hamilton. It is an amazing work on many levels: musical, artistic, historic. An overarching theme in the story is the question of legacy. How much control do we have over the story that is told of our life after we leave this world? As one of the signature songs in the musical goes, who lives, who dies, who tells our story? We feel blessed to bear witness to your life story, and now to have the gift of your life story in this book. Rahul and Tara already know the story of seva, of service and sacrifice, and I trust that this understanding will deepen with time. We hope that we can honor you both during your lifetime and the years that follow in a way that does justice to all the light you have brought into this world and all the light that has yet to shine through the legacy of your life's work and example. We love you. And now, without further ado, I give you Dr. Ramesh Rao and Dr. Vinod Prakash.
Where is Anjali? What a wonderful tribute. Thank you. And let me look across this wonderful audience here. It is amazing to have this family, these friends of Vinodji and Sarlaji this evening. And I think it is my privilege to be here, sitting next to this brave man. We here, I think almost every country you have these awards for bravery every year. Someone jumping into a building on fire, rescuing someone. But I don't think I have come across in my life, and I have lived long, anyone as brave as Vinodji. I don't believe anyone here can imagine the strength that he has, and that over the past dozen years, that he has continued to invest in others' life, in others' happiness, in others' well-being, as he has done while navigating the world blind. I don't believe there are many such stories in the world. So, with that said, once again, it's my amazing privilege to be here this evening. I don't know most of you, but I am connected to IDRF for the past 20 years. And I still remember Sarlaji and Vinodji when we first met, I believe in 2003 at the WAVES conference. Sarlaji, as generous as she is still, has always been, gave a silver coin as a token to my then infant son, Sudhanva, who is going to be graduating next month from the University of Georgia. Sarlaji and Vinodji happen to be the kind of generous people that, again, you rarely see in this world. They have welcomed into their home such a variety of people. And they don't forget any one of them. So it is that everyone who has come to their home is a special guest that way. So, once again, let me say it is my honor and privilege to be sitting here next to Vinodji and to have a little conversation. It's not light cameras and TV here. I'm not going to be grilling him. I want to ask a few questions of him so that he can share with us some of the highlights from his life. It was my joy to both kind of plan with him this memoir. We sat and talked. I was then in Virginia, and I used to drive up from Little Farmville, Virginia, up to DC to meet with Vinodji and Sarlaji, and we spent hours, me asking questions and he narrating into a recorder, and that's how the memoir emerged. But I have had a longer, wonderful history with the Prakashes. And so, with that said, so Vinodji, it is time to reveal my age. I'm 67, and when I turned 60, I kind of said, I started looking back. What have I done? Where have I been? So it's mostly kind of looking in the rear view mirror after you have turned 60. We are celebrating your 91st birthday. And instead of looking at that rear view mirror, there is something in you that drives you to look ahead. So tell us what it is that inspires you, what motivates you to look ahead instead of looking back.
Many thanks, Rameshji, and I'm grateful to the IDRF team, both the staff and the board, for organizing this program. And I am really feel blessed that I am one of the billions of children of Bharat Mata. Even now, over 1 billion people are living there. And while I am for 60 years, I am physically away from India or Bharat, yet my Atma, my self, in a way, is still in India. And I feel whatever, if any, I have accomplished, it is the blessings of those, not billions, of course that's the population, but over 30 plus years, hundreds of thousands of people who have been benefited by the philanthropy, and many of them are sitting here, donors, philanthropists, and of course, overwhelming majority is out in USA, but out of town. It is their generosity and trust in IDRF which enabled us to look forward. And there, I think IDRF team is already introduced, especially given my eyesight gone for more than 13 years. I am fully dependent on the wonderful operational team and board. So I think I have 3 essays which couple of times a day I recite. First is Samarpan. I submitted myself to Bharat Mata. Second is Seva. Dedicate my life to service. Third is Satya. For me, Satya or truth is another word for God. One perhaps may say, I am an extremist, I don't know maybe what correct word. Believe it or not, I am still a citizen of India. I'm living here for 60 years. The reason is there is an oath you have to take when you change your citizenship from India to USA, which is, I think, in most cases there is no problem. And that's how and I consider them to be wise Indians. They are very prudent, they are wise, pragmatic, but I am perhaps stubborn. For me, that oath ceremony was not possible, so I retained my Indian citizenship, and that's what gives me the whether Bhagwan calls me while I am talking here, or one day, 1 month, 1 year more, that is up to that all invisible pervasive power, and that is like a shloka for me several times a day, and I have wonderful life partner. I am really blessed, very fortunate to Sarla, who is sitting here as my life partner. And let me here narrate a little bit. Please forgive me if I hope I'm not wasting your time. We were married 63 years ago, but through a patrika, a magazine called Harishchandra Patrika. Most of you may not have heard the name of Harishchandra, but if you visit Hindu Encyclopedia, then you will find that there were 4 yuga, Satyug, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga. So this is the story from Satyug, and that is the truth. So Harishchandra Vansh, and I'm adhering to that truth. And secondly, my own family, but more so Sarlaji's family, is a strong Arya Samaji. So at age 50, my age 50, she wanted me to, because I had completed what is multiple of 25, the first 25 your study, career, all that, then your family, and then it grest, and then third is one prast. So I inquired from World Bank to if I could leave. I was told I could leave, of course, but no pension.
Vinodji,
So
you're
it's
preempting
55.
some of my questions.
Okay, sorry. So
So-
I'm just completing my sentence. So at age 55, on the one hand, I resigned from the World Bank. On the other hand, I established IDRF. So credit in that respect goes to my beliefs with the help of my better half, my mythology or this trust there. Sorry, it was a very expanded.
Yeah, but I think you have highlighted something very important and something almost anyone who meets Vinodji will very quickly discover. He said he's stubborn, yes. He is a very principled man. So when he says truth or satya, there is something about, and again, it is such a rare quality. So, when you're, if you were to kind of, give me the privilege of asking you to look back, who, when you're young, as a young boy, as a teenager, kind of inspired you? These things, sure, some have that kind of innate nature in them, but we are also sometimes inspired when you're young to follow, a path, something that inspires us to do good. So if you were to look back, can you share with us who it was, what it was that made you commit to this pursuit of the truth and as well as the well-being of others?
Thanks, Rameshji. I am privileged to be born in a family with modest means, but certain principles, and those principles were freedom fighting. My family was strong followers of Mahatma Gandhi towards freedom fighting. So even before I was born, because I'm the youngest, and my eldest brother and next brother had already gone to prison. So, but I have vivid memory when I was 9 years old, and Gandhiji called for Quit India movement. I think it was August 9, 1942. Then my mother, my all three unmarried sisters, but educated, but unmarried sisters, my brother's wife, Bhabi, and even carrying 6 months old baby in our laps, they all offered satyagrah. So I had those things in my veins. As a result, 75 years ago, if we asked anyone, is there recall anything horrible, tragic, something that happened in India within 1 year of India's independence? Within 1 year of India's independence, even among the audience here, very respectable audience, there may be some may find it very difficult. But for me, it was Gandhiji's assassination followed by ban on RSS. And when RSS was banned, I was going to, as a child, 8, 9, 10-year-old, 11-year-old child going to RSS, Shakha, play this up and down and all those things. So I was in 12th grade, UP board examination, and on January 1, 1949, I disappeared from home. I did not have courage to take permission from my parents, my brother and Bhabi, which I knew. Who will allow a child of a 15-year-old? So I just disappeared and offered satyagraha. For almost 2 months, I was in prison, then released, and then, oh my God, idealism is one thing, but what happened to my career? I was good in studies with the first division and distinction. So 12th grade examination was only a week or 10 days away. But God listened to me. God listened to me, and UP government's 12th grade board examinations were leaked. As a result, I got 5-6 weeks to prepare for my examination and retained my first division and distinction and all that. And
If you're, therefore, in terms of this commitment to India, commitment to freedom, surely, it was what you read about the freedom fighters and surely about Mahatma Gandhi. But if I recall, you have also mentioned how Swami Vivekananda inspired you. What is it about maybe his life, his commitment to not a particular nation or a people, but to the world? What was it, once again, that inspired you?
well, Swami Vivekananda is, if I have to choose in the whole planet about whom I have read or heard, I would say is number one, is the top, because even as a teenager, his actual name is Narendra. Swami Vivekananda's given name. His real name is Narendra. And he used to ask anyone in Calcutta, he was in Calcutta, have you seen God? And so one day he asked someone, Britisher, he asked because when a child, 12-year-old child, whether it's a white man or native Indian, doesn't matter. So he said, yes, I go there, you see. So that's how he went to what's called Belur Mutt. And then he asked the question, have you seen God? So then not Swami Vivekananda, he was just Narendra, 12, 13-year-old Narendra. Then and I don't know, Rameshji may provide the name of that real Swamiji. Yes, I see God. You say, how do you see? I see God literally as you are sitting in front of me. You are God. There is divinity in human being. So which led to Manav Seva, Madhav Seva. And believe it or not, it is a part of our Bharatiya Sanskriti or Indian culture, Atithi Devo Bhava. That is, anyone unexpected comes is a representative of God. So those values were, during my bringing up, were inculcated in me, and that is the driving force. Of course, God may call me or any moment, but till my last breath, this is my spiritual journey will continue.
So this commitment to India, it's I know there are others of your generation who came here in the early 60s who continue to maintain their Indian ID. But you came to the to this country, I think, 1961.
Yes.
So the India that you left behind at that point in time has, of course, changed vastly. So what is it that you still see the promise of India, and maybe why your commitment, in terms of its continuing to be your punya bhumi, while for 7 decades this has been your karma bhumi.
Yes, I think there is, in some sense, a dilemma whether my submission should remain primarily to my Janbhumi, my land of my birthplace, which is also sacred land for me, my spiritual. Even though I am living in USA and last 60 years, I mean, we moved to, thanks to President Kennedy's liberalization of immigration visa policy, Sarla and I, we are among the first one who came to US in 1960, of course, initially on a student visa, but when we returned, and I think that was basically our destiny. Perhaps my memoir should reflect that we returned to India within 2 weeks after completing our scholarship program at MIT, and Sarlaji completing her master's degree. But during those 2 years, we were blessed with a child who is, at the moment, is sitting somewhere in this hall, and I hope he and his wife, dear wife, would not mind in sharing what happened. And here, in that respect, we are also very special guest, Krishna Jayaraman, who knows us since 1961. We were married and we had not done anything about family planning. We are blessed with a child, but the child had disability. And we returned to India, and we are told to put him in orphanage. But then in Vellore, when my wife Sarlaji went with him to Vellore, so she went to the Christian Medical College Hospital, and the orthopedist herself was paraplegic, and on wheelchair she will go in the hospital and all that, and in the wheelchair she will sit inside her car, and that was the gift to her by Ford Foundation. So that
I think this gives me the point where we can kind of pivot here to kind of your work and your commitment to IDRF. What is it that you and Sarlaji have looked for in terms of the kinds of organizations, the kinds of efforts, the kinds of initiatives that you wanted to support? What have you looked for? Who is it that you believe kind of require the support that IDRF can offer?
Well, firstly, I think I'm very grateful to the World Bank that giving us the alternative year opportunity, what is called the home leave. But unlike other typical employee, both Sarla and I were visiting, traveling many different regions of the world, of India, not just our immediate family members. So we saw on a charpai a patient was being carried, that is for the emergency, because there was no emergency van, so that had great impact on our values or our life, and that led to the birth of IDRF, which was initially perhaps most of us may not know that IDRF became my full-time passion since after taking retirement from the World Bank. But credit for my character goes to the imposition of emergency by Prime Minister Mrs. Gandhi. That emergency led to all like-minded Indians. I'm referring to 1957, 59,
No, 75 to 75.
75, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, 75, 77. So we started India Relief Fund, but with the objective of helping the families of political prisoners. But emergency was lifted in 21 months. So, and I had given my family background of satyagrahi and freedom fighting, and this is my strong support from Sarlaji coming from Arya Samaji family. So I took over India Relief Fund, and believe it or not, that was 79. 79. Over the next few months, exact month one can find, Morbi Dam collapsed. Morbi Dam collapsed within few months of my taking over of India Relief Fund, and I happened to be the first Indian American at the World Bank. And there was no internet, there was no I was young and I had the guts or internal courage. I went to the Supreme, the executive director of the World Bank, Indian executive director, Mr. M. Narasimham, and who advised director of personnel, director of administration to allow me to use Xerox machine for copying and all that, and secretarial.
I'm going to stop you here, Vinodji, because I want people to read your book. I don't want to get them all the details that you're giving away. But let me wrap up this evening's conversation with a question about what you see as the future of IDRF, as you have led it so well now for 4 decades. What do you want people to take IDRF towards, and where do you see it headed?
Well, I think I am confident that especially over the past almost a decade, 8 years, almost a decade, we have such an excellent team of IDRF staff with total dedication and commitment, and they are sitting here that will continue, because the needs of India, I'm going to leave the planet very near future, but with population of India, and also it is not that the poverty is the same as some years ago. It is not what was 50 years ago or 60 years. It is in the new norms are there, technology is there, new ways are there for helping through digital world. We can accomplish far more, and the future is and board of directors is also very futuristic. The board will continue. Staff is very dedicated, and it is all due to them that ratings of IDRF are at the top. We do not have fundraising programs. as
Yeah.
many other organizations have. It is our just ratings, the premier rating agencies which are top.
Yeah.
And we keep our admin even now, even below 5%. Earlier it used to be just a couple of
Yeah,
percent.
thank
So
you.
I
Yeah.
hope future successors,
Yeah.
it is down the road, I don't know. When I leave this planet, somebody will come with total dedication and commitment.
Yeah.
So there can be appropriate replacement and legacy may continue.
Thank you, Vinodji. Again, I want to repeat that it has been my privilege and my honor to have come to know you and Sarlaji. It is my privilege and honor this evening to sit here and talk to you. And I hope all of you will enjoy the evening. And once again, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be here today.
Only.
Thank you, Ramesh ji. So we'll have volunteers get the stage ready for the next part of the presentation. Thank you for leading a wonderful and insightful fireside chat. And a personal thank you, Ramesh ji, for helping bring this memoir to life. It truly would not have happened without your support. Please accept this gift on our behalf. So now as they exit the stage, I'm excited to introduce you to Deepak Ram, an exceptional musician and artist who will perform on the bansuri, a type of Indian flute. Deepak ji began his formal training nearly 50 years ago and has performed around the world, including a number of Hollywood movie soundtracks. He has been a professor of Indian music at several universities, and we are very pleased to have him perform for us today. So please welcome Deepak Ram, who will now get set up on stage.
I hope that was a very inspirational short prelude to the book that we have all been reading and absorbing. So encourage you, if you have not got the book, there's a book desk there. All proceeds go to IDRF. Also, just some excitement. We have already got a pledge of $25,000 today. Please put pressure on our board to increase the limit if there's possibility. Thank you.
Good evening, friends. I want to thank Dr. Suresh Gupta ji for inviting me to this special event. I'm going to play for just a few minutes, and I'm sorry I'm using technology because, you know, for me to get a tabla player to play for 5 minutes was a bit impractical. Anyway, what I'm going to play today is a very famous bhajan written by Narsi Mehta. Of course, I'm not going to sing it because I'm going to interpret it on my instrument. But I chose this particular thing, which is based on Rag Khamaj, because the lyrics of this particular bhajan lends itself perfectly to the work of Dr. Vinod Prakash ji and all the volunteers. So, Thank you.
Deepakji, that was indeed a pleasure. Here's a small gift from us for you. No, no.
Just a small token. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ramji. Thank you, Anjali. Okay, now we get on to the IDRF side of things. You have heard a lot about IDRF from Vinodji, his inspiration and all. We'd like to invite two of our board members, Dr. Prem Garg and Nisha Narayan, to the stage. And we'll have a PowerPoint presentation giving you a little bit of details about what IDRF is about, what we have done. Obviously, it's not a detailed presentation, but we hope to give you a glimpse. Prem, if you want to come up first, yeah, we can come together. Prem has the distinct honor of knowing Vinodji the longest professionally and personally, I think. So he was in the World Bank when I actually met Vinodji at his house about 35 years back. So let's put the presentation on video.
Thank you, Rajiv. And it really is an honor and privilege to be here, joining in this celebration for all the good things which Vinod has done over his lifetime. Nisha and I would like to take just a few minutes. It's not a long presentation, just to give you a brief overview of what IDRF does, how it functions, and what sort of an impact it is having on the ground. Probably we will take no more than maybe 5, 6 minutes, 8 minutes. Okay? So, you have, of course, most of you in one fashion or the other already have. I don't want to go through each one of them, just a few points I want to focus on. First and foremost, IDRF's work is focused on the poorest of the poor. What we try to do is reach the people who have been left behind, the tribals, the people in the remote areas, the unemployed, the students in the rural government schools, they don't get proper education. So really, to the extent possible, we try to reach the target groups who have been marginalized and need to be brought up. The second thing we want to emphasize, really what we want to do is not provide them just charity, but do something which will bring them up, build their capacity, build their skills, build their capability, so they are able to become productive citizen in a sustainable fashion. That's our focus, not just give them a handout. And the third thing which I really want to emphasize, and since it did come up in the earlier conversations also, IDRF is very keen, no matter what the personal beliefs of the board or the founder or the others may be, we are totally committed to having no discrimination based on race, creed, color, religion, nothing like that. We go wherever our services are needed the most. So those are the three things I really wanted to take for you to take away from that. Go to the next slide, please. Now you will see that we have been involved in a variety of activities, from education to healthcare to disaster to environmental sustainability to women's empowerment. To large extent, this is driven by the preferences and choices of our donors. We respect what they want to do. We respect both in geographical terms, in terms of the partnerships they seek, in terms of the focal areas or thematic areas which they want to support, and that reflects the set of choices which our donors have done. And we really, in that sense, IDRF is a unique organization providing the donors the framework really to decide how they want to use their good money to help India and to help the poor. Go to the next one, please. Okay. Now, I think somebody has already mentioned about it. It's really remarkable, based on individual initiatives and based on lifetime of work which Vinod and with Sarlaji's help has done. More than $45 million in grants has been given. But, our contribution to the beneficiaries is not only in terms of money, it's much more important, we think, is in terms of technical assistance which we are able to provide to build the capacity of the partners on the other end of it. So they are able to design their projects better, to have better implementation, and to really have more impact with the money which you provide them. Next one. As you can see, this is only 1 year of program, but over the 35 years, almost, if we were to put all this sort of pins, we would not have places to put them. We are covering the breadth and the length of all of India. In fact, I can almost bet if you pick up a place at random, we will find you a partner, or an IDRF partner within 2-hour driving distance of that, which you can go and visit. So really, it's from one end of the country to the other end, we have partners who are working. So it's not, in some small, tiny area of the country. The next one, please. This is the part for me. The last, you would be really quite amazed how well managed it is. The kind of ratings, and these are not our own ratings, these are ratings from independent agencies who look across the non-government organization across the country. And the sort of a rating which you see here from the this Guide Star or from Charity Navigator or from the great non-profits, year after year, the top ratings, I don't have the precise numbers on it, but if you were to look for it, I can assure you in the whole country. I'm not talking of India-focused entities, I'm talking of all NGOs. We would be probably in the top 5% of all NGOs in the country, in terms of what we do, in terms of transparency and effectiveness of how your money is getting used. And we are also proud that really we are able to maintain our overheads very low, 5%. For most organizations of this type, you probably know, if they can get away with 15%, that's considered respectable. And there are some organizations which even spend much more than that, but year after year, we have been working with less than 5% of the total collections at the overheads, and that is possible not because we cut corners or we don't do our due diligence or we cut corners on the compliance of either the Indian laws or the US laws, but it happens because we have a dedicated board of directors and set of volunteers who put a hell of a lot of time into helping IDRF through their pro bono volunteer help. I estimated roughly each year we get more than 5,000 hours of volunteer labor doing this work, and that's one reason we are able to keep it low. But also, graciously, Vinodji and Sarlaji have been providing their own home as the official headquarter of IDRF. That's a big help, that helps. And lastly, let's not forget, we do have some paid staff, but many of them are really taking significantly below market compensation. It's their generosity and their ability to help us do that, and that's how we are keeping our costs low, and we hope we will continue to do so. Now I want to hand it over to Nisha to say something about what those $45 million we mentioned, what has been achieved with them.
Thank you. IDRF's commitment to fostering sustainable development in India and the region is evident through the impact of its program areas. And in the next few slides, we will cover some of the impact indicators for the program areas within IDRF. And I'm not going to go through all the numbers, but as you can see, within these program areas, the impact has been very huge, and that's due to all the donors and the volunteers and the NGOs that are actually working in the region. So within education and skill development, they've helped over 12,000 students, especially in schools, colleges, and orphanages, special education to 225 children, and then vocational training and jobs to more than 1,000 unemployed youth. You can go to the next slide. And then within women empowerment, they've trained over 10,000 female farmers in environmentally sustainable farming techniques, and supported over 2,000 women in their self-help groups and villages. And then and also transitioning to even more help within environmental sustainability. 60 village ponds have been desilted to restore safe water supply. And within 105 villages, they've constructed 127 check dams and ponds and 147 wells for rainwater harvesting and water conservation. And then within the good governance program area, 9 cities have been made slum-free, and 2,900 slums were transformed into living habitats in association within the state of Odisha, and the government has helped with that. They've trained 48 gram panchayats to access government programs and combat corruption. And this is all through the programs and NGOs that are working within the local area, and this is mostly in Odisha. And then within disaster and relief, most of the impact has actually been within the last few years, especially with COVID. Over 500,000 victims of floods, earthquakes, and COVID and other disasters have been provided with relief kits, financial support to help them, bring their livelihood back to a sustainable level, and also help obtain government assistance and benefits.
I can cover this then. As I always say in any organization, thank you, Nisha. So all roads lead to finance. Whatever you want to do, and the numbers play an important part. So this is what Prem and others had talked about. In the last 35 years, we have collected $50.7 million. It's been not an easy journey. I mean, getting even $1 from a donor is sometimes challenging, but we have done that many times over. And about 37 million of that has gone to development grants. This is by and large the biggest impact we make. And about 8 million has gone to disaster relief and rehab grants. And as you can see, even in the last 35 years, our overhead costs have been only $2 million. This is cumulative overhead. Is by and large, our overhead is basically salary costs, labor costs. Rest is very minor, supplies and things like that. And we have got about 4 million in working capital or projects under development. So pretty tight run ship. We expect this to continue. And we go to the next slide, please. And this is how we look like in the last 5 years, or 5 years. 21 was special because of COVID. Everyone's generosity came out of their hearts like anything. But that was obviously a one-time event. But even last year, we crossed 5 million for the first time after a long, long period. And that was a 40% jump over 2022. And in 23, we dispersed about 5 million grants to about 90 NGOs. So I think this is, as Rameshji and Vinodji were doing in the chat, the future that you're talking about. If this trajectory continues, and with your support, obviously, it will continue, we feel very positive about where IDRF is heading. I think some of the personal impressions I'm getting with the NGOs I'm dealing with now, a lot of professionals in India from IITs, IIMs, BITS Pilani, are coming into the social entrepreneur space. Earlier, it was a little bit of a different set of people, well-motivated, who were in NGO space. But now you feel people who are from professional backgrounds also stepping in. And that will lead to scalability, and that will lead to efficiencies, which we all want. I think there's one more slide. And yeah, so, coming back to my favorite subject today. So there's a pledge card in front of you. We are already hitting some good numbers. I think I did hear 20,000 from someone passing by to take videos earlier. Hopefully that was a firm commitment, and we have 25. But please feel free. Whatever amount you want to give is very well appreciated by all the IDRF team. There is no money which is small, there's no money which is big, because the needs in India are immense. Even 5 million, I think, is a real drop in the ocean for that. So thank you very much, Prem and Nisha. And let's, please, thank you. Okay. I think it's sort of a miracle. We seem to have gone back on track to time. So I was thinking we'll be, we have only 2-3 videos and some small talks. We wanted to show you a video of one of our longest NGO in India. It's called Shiksha Bharati. Shiksha Bharati runs a central board of secondary school for up to grade 12 on their educational campus in a place called Hapur, which is about 100 kilometers from Delhi. IDRF has helped construct a hostel within the campus to accommodate about 100 students from underprivileged girls from Northeast India. We provide them free education, living expenses, travel expenses, so these girls can have a better chance of success in life. We also support the girls' higher education once they graduate. Till date, 180 girls have graduated from the school, and currently the cohort is 107 girls. I believe the capacity is 108 for the hostel. And these are girls in grades 6 to 12. They are being supported by IDRF and its donors. We also set up some vocational training centers in the campus, so the girls' employability will improve. Things like computer literacy, sewing, and tailoring. Also, Dr. De Silva, I believe he's left, right? He was here a few minutes earlier. He's an environmental specialist retiree from World Bank. He guided us in setting up 2 eco-friendly biogas units in the hostel to serve the kitchen. And the estimates are that we saved about 57 LPG cylinders a year because of the use of biogas. And during the pandemic, we also provided financial support to Shiksha Bharati to help pay salaries and for teachers and staff, because that was a time of real crisis everywhere. So we have a short video that Shiksha Bharati staff centers. We will request you to watch that. It's in Hindi, but there are subtitles. Hopefully they are visible. But hopefully the story will be much better than what I've explained. So if you can play the...
पूर्वोत्तर में संसाधन व सुविधाओं के अभाव के कारण वहां के निवासियों को अनेक समस्याओं का सामना करना पड़ता है, जिसमें से बालिकाओं की शिक्षा एक महत्वपूर्ण विषय है। इसको ध्यान में रखते हुए शिक्षा भारती ने साल 2002 में हापुड़ में एक वनवासी छात्रावास प्रारंभ किया, जिसका भूमि पूजन तत्कालीन सरसंघ चालक श्री केसी सुदर्शन जी द्वारा किया गया। 2005 में छात्रावास को एक नए परिसर में स्थानांतरित किया गया। IDRF वनवासी छात्रावास शिक्षा भारती का एक ऐसा प्रकल्प है जिसका लक्ष्य पूर्वोत्तर की वनवासी बालिकाओं को निःशुल्क शैक्षिक आवासीय सुविधाओं के साथ समस्त आवश्यक सुविधाएं उपलब्ध कराना है। छात्रावास का उद्देश्य बालिकाओं को ऐसा वातावरण उपलब्ध कराना है जिससे न केवल उनका व्यक्तिगत और शैक्षणिक विकास हो, बल्कि वो स्वावलंबी भी बने। इस छात्रावास के माध्यम से 180 बालिकाएं प्रारंभिक शिक्षा पूर्ण करके करियर बना चुकी हैं। वर्तमान में छात्रावास में रहकर 107 वनवासी बालिकाएं शिक्षा ग्रहण कर रही हैं।
नमस्ते, मेरा नाम श्रेया भारती है। मैं इस छात्रावास में 4.5 साल की उम्र से रह रही हूँ। MA कंप्लीट किया। रिसेंटली मैं BEd कर रही हूँ और साथ में वेब डिज़ाइनिंग का कोर्स भी कर रही हूँ। और मुझे इस छात्रावास से बहुत कुछ सीखने के लिए मिला। मुझे यहाँ पे एक पूरा परिवार मिला, जैसे कि माँ के रूप में स्वाति दीदी और पिता के रूप में हरीश मित्तल जी मिले। और यहाँ पे मैं अपने आप को कैसे इम्प्रूव कर सकती हूँ, वो चीज़ें मुझे यहाँ पे सीखने के लिए मिली। और अपनी लाइफ को आगे कैसे बढ़ाना है, वो चीज़ मैंने इसी छात्रावास के द्वारा ही सीखा। भगवान ने जिस तरीके से मुझे एक सपोर्ट के माध्यम से स्वाति दीदी और पिताजी को मेरे लिए भेजा है, उसी तरीके से मैं भी चाहती हूँ कि मैं किसी और के लिए, मतलब किसी और छात्राओं के लिए एक अच्छा उदाहरण बनूँ और मैं उनके लिए एक सहायक बन सकूँ।
वर्तमान में छात्रावास में रहकर 107 वनवासी बालिकाएं शिक्षा ग्रहण कर रही हैं। छात्रावास में बालिकाओं की सभी आवश्यकताओं को ध्यान में रखकर सुविधाएं उपलब्ध कराई जाती हैं, जिनमें वाटर कूलर, कंप्यूटर लैब, खेल का मैदान, पुस्तकालय, मुफ्त वाईफाई आदि शामिल हैं। इसी के साथ समय समय पर बालिकाओं को समाज की महान विभूतियों का मार्गदर्शन प्राप्त होता है, जिससे बालिकाओं के विकास में बहुत मदद मिलती है।
मेरा नाम किचुन थियलू है। मैं BBA सेकेंड ईयर में पढ़ती हूँ अभी वनस्थली विद्यापीठ में। मैं नागालैंड से हूँ, पेरेंट डिस्ट्रिक्ट से। वहाँ हमारे पेरेंट्स हमें इतना अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ नहीं दे पाते हैं, फैसिलिटीज़ नहीं दे पाते हैं, इसलिए हम यहाँ पे आए हैं। और यहाँ पे छात्रावास में आकर हमें बहुत सी अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ मिली है, जिनकी मदद से मैं और मेरे जैसे बहुत सी बालिकाएं जो अपने आप को ग्रूम कर पाए हैं। और यहाँ अपनी लाइफ में एक नई दिशा मिली है, अपने करियर की स्किल्स को, अपने करियर में स्किल्स को शोकेस करने में और उनको इम्प्रूव करने का एक प्लेटफॉर्म मिली है। टाइम टू टाइम हमें स्वाति दीदी और अनेक लोगों से मार्गदर्शन मिलती है, जिनकी वजह से हमारे करियर से रिलेटेड और हमारे थॉट्स और भी क्लियर हो जाते हैं। और आगे पढ़ने के लिए मोटिवेशन और स्कॉलरशिप हमें दोनों ही दिए जाते हैं।
मैं स्वाति, शिक्षा भारती ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की प्रेसिडेंट, आप सभी का हृदय से नमस्कार करती हूँ। इस संस्था में गत लगभग 21 वर्षों से यानी 2002 से एक वनवासी बालिकाओं का छात्रावास सफलतापूर्वक चल रहा है। हमारा उद्देश्य है कि हम बालिकाओं को एक ऐसा वातावरण दें जहां उनका शैक्षिक और बौद्धिक विकास के साथ साथ वो स्वावलंबी भी बने। हमारे समाज में आज भी जो लिंग भेद है, उसके जवाब में आपको इसका सीधा सीधा सा उत्तर मिल जाएगा कि बालिकाओं को शिक्षित होना कितना आवश्यक है। पूर्वोत्तर राज्य भारतवर्ष का एक ऐसा एरिया है, एक ऐसा प्रदेश है जो बाकी एरिया से थोड़ा सा अलग है। इन्हीं सब हालातों को और बातों को देखते हुए यहाँ पर वनवासी बालिकाओं का छात्रावास का संचालन किया जा रहा है। इस छात्रावास में हम शैक्षणिक और बौद्धिक विकास के साथ साथ इन बालिकाओं की अन्य सुविधाओं का भी हम पूरा ध्यान रखते हैं। इसी स्पिरिट को लेकर के हमारे साथ IDRF भी हमारा एक बहुत ही एक मजबूत स्तंभ है और IDRF के जो हमारे अध्यक्ष हैं डॉक्टर विनोद प्रकाश जी, उनका एक क्लियर विजन, उनका एक कमिटमेंट और उनका जो एक समर्पण है वो बहुत ही प्रशंसनीय और सराहनीय है। एक बेहतर दुनिया बनाने के लिए IDRF की पहल और शिक्षा भारती का प्रयास, ये दोनों मिलकर के बालिका शिक्षा में एक ऐसा कदम उठा रहे हैं जिससे हमारी पूर्वोत्तर छात्र की जो वनवासी बालिकाएं हैं उनको एक बेहतर समाज मिल रहा है। हम अपने देश के लिए, अपने भारतवर्ष के लिए हम जो भी कर सकते थे उसके लिए ईश्वर ने IDRF को और शिक्षा भारती को एक सहयोगी की तरह बनाया है। उसके लिए मैं पूरी IDRF की टीम का मेरी तरफ से, मेरी टीम की तरफ से बहुत बहुत हार्दिक धन्यवाद और सादर नमन।
The funds so they can get immediate tax break, but they're not sure on what project, area, activity the fund should be directed to. So that's also an option available to you if you want to give the money and you're not sure what it's to be used for. So that's called donor preference. So we'll still follow the due diligence that we follow for complying with the India and US funding laws, the compliance reports that we need from the NGO, the completion reports, all the other things we follow. But here's an example of a foundation which is in California. It's called ARSR. And they are basically, the executive has been, from the last 2-3 years, routing all their donations through IDRF to about 7-8 NGOs, I believe. So we'll have a short video from the Mr. Krishnan, and it's self-explanatory, so I don't need to explain anything about that further.
Hello, my name is Shankar Krishnan, and I'm president of the ARSR Charitable Foundation based in Cupertino, California. The ARSR Foundation was formed in 2021 with the primary mission of enhancing the lives of underprivileged children and adults in India through funding for education and healthcare. Over the past 3 years, we have provided approximately $800,000 in funding to approximately 15 NGOs in India, primarily elementary, middle, high schools, vocational, and boarding schools. In 2024, our funds will support around 2,500 children by helping them attend school, get meals, have uniforms, books, and be able to pay for school fees and uniforms, etc. In 2021, when our foundation was getting started, we identified a few organizations in India that we wanted to support. But we were not sure how to go about doing this, both from a logistical perspective and from the perspective of making sure our contributions were spent on the targeted programs and objectives. This is when we learned about IDRF and the great work that was being done by Dr. Vinod and his team. We immediately contacted Vandana at IDRF and began our close collaboration, which is now extending into its third year. IDRF made it possible for us to evaluate various NGOs, making sure they were eligible to receive funds. IDRF also helped with fund transfer to many organizations and to track how and audit how these funds were utilized through reviews of reports and expense sheets, etc. Once we got started with our initial list of NGOs, IDRF provided us with names of additional NGOs that met our criteria for funding. And that has resulted now in 4 to 5 additional NGOs that have been added to the list of organizations we fund. Some of these new ones are absolutely fantastic in the work that they do. Thanks to IDRF for introducing us to these organizations. In mid-2023, I had the distinct honor and privilege to meet Dr. Vinod and Vandana during my visit to the Washington, D.C. area. During this visit, I learned a great deal about Dr. Vinod's background, experience, and his remarkable commitment to promoting development in India through the support of hundreds of NGOs over the past decades. Looking forward, we fully expect our relationship with IDRF to continue for many more years. We've come across many organizations thanks to the referrals from IDRF, and funded several of them for many years now. Additionally, all of the organizations we support through IDRF are listed in IDRF's newsletters and websites. And so this is an opportunity for other donors to review some of these organizations, their missions, and the wonderful work that they're doing. In closing, I'm very excited and pleased to be able to participate in this event that honors Dr. Vinod Prakash and commemorates his work through the release of this book. I wanted to attend this event in person but could not make it due to travel logistics. From the trustees of the ARSR Foundation, we offer our best wishes to Dr. Prakash on the occasion of this great event. Thank you.
So we have one more video and then no more videos. So this is a very interesting organization called Samarth Trust in Gujarat and Chhattisgarh. They have been our partners since 2009. They are into multiple areas of water harvesting, water preservation, into women's self-help groups. They've been, for example, they provided 500 plus containers on wheels to carry water and save them from drudgery and health risks of carrying water containers on their head. They've also been working on combating climate crisis by installing 25 biogas units for poor rural families and planting 20,000 trees in 31 villages. They've also been involved in children with special needs in Ahmedabad. And during the pandemic, obviously, they were providing groceries and essential use items to migrant workers who returned there. So and they also have been helping with microcredit and microfinancing. So very vast slew of activities, which is quite rare to find in one single NGO. Typically, they are focused on one sector, but this is like IDRF multi-thematic NGO. So we have a last video on this, and then we'll have short talks and some thank you notes, and then the dinner will be open. So just to get you a jump ahead on this, and also Gautam told me a few minutes back that the Prakash family is also adding $25,000 as a pledge to IDRF. So again, this is going well beyond what they've done in this beautiful hall that you see today. Has also partly been Prakash family's contribution. So double thanks to Gautam, Anjali, and the rest of the family. So, okay, so let's have this video on Samarth.
આ કૂવો અમારે પેટ પીવા માટે પાણીનો હતો, એમાં બહુ તકલીફ હતી ભાઈને પાણી પીવા જવા આવવા માટે ને, તો તેને માટે એણે બહુ સારું કામ કરાવ્યું. ઠેઠથી ઠેઠ કૂવાને રિપેર કરાયો, ગ્રેડિયુમાંથી લગાવ્યું, સડક પણ બંધાવી અને પેટ પીવા માટે ગામ બધાને પાણીનો કૂવો ઉપયોગી થાય છે. સમૃદ્ધ ટ્રસ્ટમાંથી અમને ત્રાવનો ફાયદો થયો છે, એના પછી અમે અહીંયા રહી શકીએ છીએ. મને શાળામાં છોકરાને મૂકવાની સગવડ થઈ એટલે રાયમલમાં શાળા મને ફાયદો થયો ને. અહીંયા અમે સસ્તા એમાં ત્રાવ કરી દીધો, દાદા દૂર ન જવું પડ્યું. અમારા છોકરા સુખી છે, અમે સુખી છે, અમારા દૂર જવું હોય. અમારા છોકરાને આ સ્કૂલ સસ્તા એમાં ત્રાવ કરી દીધો, મને બહુ લાભ રહ્યો. અત્યાર સુધી 2005 થી 2017 સુધીમાં જે સમર્થ ટ્રસ્ટ દ્વારા વિવિધ દાતાઓના સહયોગથી પીવાના પાણીના સ્ત્રોતો બનાવ્યા. અત્યાર સુધીમાં 40 ગામ અને 37 વઢોમાં બનાવેલા છે, અને હાલ બીજા 57 ગામોમાં આવા સ્ત્રોતો લોકોને ઉપયોગી માટે બનાવવાની જરૂરિયાત છે. એમાં 795 તળાવોમાં કામ કરવાની જરૂર છે, તેમજ 418 કૂવાઓનું રિનોવેશન કામ કરવાની પણ હાલ જરૂરિયાત છે.
આ બધી જે બહેનો છે તે આમાં આપણે સમર્થ સાથે જોડાયેલા છે. એ લોકોના એસએજી ગ્રુપ ચાલે છે, અને જ્યારે આપણે ગામ લેવલે મીટિંગ થાય છે ત્યારે બધા બહેનો અચૂક હાજરી આપે છે.
રાપર તાલુકામાં જે અમારી કામગીરી રહી છે એ તાલુકામાં 97 ગામો છે. અમે તમામ 97 ગામના આ પ્રકારના વોટર સિક્યુરિટી પ્લાન બનાવ્યા છે. સાથે સાથે એ તમામ ગામોના પાણીના સ્ત્રોતો કયા ચાલુ છે, કયા બંધ છે, શું જરૂરિયાત છે, એ પ્રકારની એમાં તમામ માહિતી અમે આવરી લીધી છે. આગામી સમયમાં આ જ્ઞાનના આધારે અમે વિવિધ દાતાઓના સહકારથી આ જે કંઈ પણ ડિમાન્ડ ઊભી થયેલી છે તેને અમે કઈ રીતે પરિપૂર્ણ કરી શકીએ છીએ એ લોકોને સાથે રાખીને લોકોની પણ એમાં ભાગીદારી સાથે અમે આ કામગીરીને આગળ વધારવા માંગીએ છીએ.
We are thankful to India Development Relief Fund for supporting Samarth for the last couple of years to provide water-based assets to the communities who work in Kutch, specifically in Rapar block, where Samarth has been working for last 10 years. It has been very beneficial to the communities. The communities are very happy because they can lead meaningful life. So we would like to continue with this partnership, and in the future we would request India Development Relief Fund to provide us with more support. We work in an entire administrative block of Rapar, which comprises of 97 gram panchayats, but we have reached so far in 40 gram panchayats. So we would like to request IDRF to help us to continue with this support through their supporters and donors in the states, so that we can reach out to remaining 57 gram panchayats and the villages to make a life meaningful for the vulnerable and marginalized community. Thank you very much, IDRF.
Believe it or not, we are on track. So now I'd like to invite two of our supporters and donors to give a short thought on what impresses them about IDRF and why they've been. First is Dr. Krishna Jayaraman. He was telling me when I was introduced to him for the first time that he apparently, his wife babysat your husband when he was very young. So I don't know if it's good or bad, but that's, so welcome.
Namaskar. Jai Hind. Yes, my connection to Sarlaji, Vinodji goes back to when we lived across Buswell Street in Boston. I was a 10-year-old, and I remember Amma, my mother, helping take care of Sanjay when he was a baby. My father was doing his postdoctorate at BU, and uncle was doing his undergrad at his graduate studies at MIT. And when we came back to the US and came to settle in southern Maryland, where we have been for the last 41 years. My wife and I are both physicians there. I remember wondering how I can help my country. And the difficulty always was, at least back in the 70s and the 80s when I first came, you don't trust anyone there. There's always a lot of graft. Pockets are notoriously filled with holes. And then my father said, "Why don't you talk to Vinodji?" And then we realized, and as I see here today, the amount of work that goes behind this organization. I just give you an example. Last year, in December, I went to visit a school my father went to, high school, small town in Tamil Nadu. And it did not have a proper bathroom. It's high school. Doors were coming off the hinges. So I asked the principal how we can help. And it's been 4 months now. Barely gotten off the planning stage. Building a few bathrooms, getting a computer center, getting a water tank for water supply. So difficult. And so all I have to do is write a check, and these two people in the organization, they make miracles happen. We know it's a small drop in the bucket that we're doing here, but it's our way of doing it. My father has always taught me that generosity and giving back to the community is what is important. There are a few things that I have has led me. One is whenever we do puja in Sanskrit, we say idam na mama. I mean, what I give is not mine. So when we give, we're just giving back to the one who gave it to us in the first place. And the second I've learned from my father and mother is you got to give when you're living. Don't let your kids give big money in your name. Let's give it when we are here. And another statement is empty words can carry no water. It's like a bucket with holes. So you have got to put your money where your mouth is. That's why my wife and I have decided to give the 25,000 as a start, which seems to have gotten the ball rolling. I'm so pleased to be able to do that. So our relationship, Vinodji and Sarlaji, goes back a long way. And what you two have done is hard to put into words. So all I can do is namaskar to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you for this. Second speaker is Miss Soumya Swaroop. Is she here? Suresh, I'm sorry. And just as Madam is coming here, after this we'll have some closing remarks and thank you note, and the dinner will start. And during dinner we have some time that Gautam has arranged for some family members to talk to you. So dinner will have a double track. Okay, Madam.
Namaste, everybody. My name is Soumya Suresh, and I did not come with a prepared speech. Back in 2021, just like many of us, we felt the anxiety that, what do we do back home to help all the COVID victims? And one of the first questions that I was asking some of my doctor friends over there is, what can we do? We cannot come there physically to help you guys, but tell us what is it that we can help with. So doctors, the hospitals were all packed, and what they were telling us is, give us some help in preventing the infection, reducing the infection, in isolating people, because it's so crowded there, it is simply impossible to do that. So with that goal in mind, we spoke to Don Bosco School in Chennai, and they graciously allowed us to create a makeshift hospital with 104 beds. And we got the support of some good doctors, nurses, and attendants. Now we've got to pay some of them. Not all of them were ready to work for free because obviously everybody was struggling. And me, like an idiot, I said, yeah, I will help raise the funds. The monthly expenses associated with that was $50,000. So one of the first calls that I made after I nodded my head like this was to Mrs. Banu, and whom I know is probably involved with every charity around here. And she said, hey, let me introduce you to Vandana. And then started a very wonderful journey. Vandana, of course, put me through the litmus test. So she wanted to know that we are real. So we got through with a lot of friends and family and reached a certain limit of that budget. 50,000 sounds less at this point, but it was a pretty lofty goal at that time because there was a lot of donor fatigue. So people had been giving and giving and giving, so it was like yet another thing, and it was not a hospital. So ultimately, we reached a point, maybe about 70% of what we were hoping to raise. And then Vandana gave me a call one day and said, we got this. We are going to cover you for the rest of the money. And we reached the $50,000 goal. We were able to pay the salaries of everybody that month without any issues and pay the contractors who helped run that facility. And thankfully, that facility had, it was able to close down at the end of that month, and I didn't have to struggle for another $50,000. But it was an amazing journey, and the thoroughness with which this whole transaction happened, the accountability on the other side, making sure that everybody was doing what they were supposed to do, and all the checks and balances were done. It made me so comfortable because this was totally out of my comfort zone. I've never done something like this. I've never asked people for money. So I'm asking them to give money and it's being spent somewhere else. I don't think we could have gotten the accountability that we did if Vandana had not been in the picture and if IDRF had not been in the picture. So I can only say there's no words to express my gratitude for helping me honor my commitment to the people over there and helping out in such a critical situation where people were losing their lives and simple things were becoming impossible. So thank you very much, IDRF, and more power to you. I hope more good comes out of this organization. Thank you.
Okay. So I just want to thank everyone for spending your Saturday evening with us. I'm sure there were other options, maybe more entertaining and more exciting than today's, but we felt this was hopefully a very informative evening for everyone. We wanted to highlight some of our work. both the leadership that we have with Dr. Vinod Prakash, and when we mention him, we can't forget Salaji, who's the backbone of the person we know. And we hope to continue this work with your support. I want to recognize some young volunteers who have been helping us today. They've all been in the background. These are high school students, Pari, Vivan, Shomit, Sareen, and Tejas. I don't know if they are here. So, as you know, we are not very strong in volunteer force. We are just some few staff and some well-intentioned people who help us. So volunteerism is big. Again, the books are for sale still. That desk in the corner is there. The pledges I've repeated maybe 10 times, so I must be getting very boring with that aspect. Please follow IDRF on our social media. We are in LinkedIn, we are in Facebook, we are in Insta. So we're trying to move more towards our promotions and our achievements and our visits through that. Obviously, we'll welcome any contacts you have. You heard from two persons just now how our donor preferred programs work. So anytime you have someone, any other organization in US who wants to work with us, obviously we feel we are doing a good job, but there are thousands of others, charities in US, well-intentioned and well-meaning. So anytime there's a time to collaborate, we'll be very open to talking with them. We have, I mean, we could have had a slide or two on 20, 30 organizations we have worked with. And now I'd like to invite Vice Chairman of our board, Dr. Suresh Gupta, to give the formal vote of thanks. So Gupta ji, all yours, and then we'll have well-earned dinner. Thank you, Gupta ji.
You know, you got the best the last time, you know. The best is the last. And I don't know where to start. I have been given the impossible task of thanking the people who are around here tonight. Let us first of all thank the person because of whom we are here today. He, along with his wife Sarlaji, and their children who are also here tonight, helped us celebrate Vinodji's life. And we must also thank Professor Ramesh Rao for coming here from Georgia to give the fireside chat. You know, he was to have come here last month, and I was all set to come when we had to cancel and postpone the program because of snow. I'm sure you all remember how much snow we had at that time, and we had to redo it here today. And think of it, last time we had, I don't know how much snow and ice, we could not go out, and today, beautiful weather. Thank you, Dr. Rao, for committing yourself and coming here this time. He also helped write the book with Vinodji, and we want to thank him for that. I would also like to thank you all very much for taking time out of your busy schedules to attend our special celebration event of Vinodji's book and a showcase of IDRF's activities over the last 35 plus years. I have known Vinodji and Sarlaji for almost 40 years and seen the commitment and passion they have towards serving the poor and the needy in India. And I want to thank him for providing us the inspiration, the wisdom, the sacrifices, and the lives he touched, and we need to live by. I remember vividly when Vinodji and the family requested all guests to make gifts in the name of IDRF at Gautam's marriage. This was something unheard of at that time, that you donate all the gifts to the IDRF. This was his commitment. I know Vinodji's memoir took a lot of effort and energy to publish. It's a powerful and moving read that will touch your heart for its simplicity and authenticity of how he faced life's challenges and continued leading a life of service to society. I have thoroughly enjoyed reading the book and encourage all of you to purchase it and read it, and I thank you for the same. I promise you it will be very inspirational for everyone. I would like to thank the IDRF family for organizing this event. I think they have worked very closely to put this great event for all of us to enjoy. I want to thank Mr. Deepak Ram for his excellent composition and rendition on Bansuri. I don't know how many of you know that he was the disciple and he worked under and learned this Bansuri art from the most famous person in India, Mr. Hari Prasad Ji Chaurasia. That's him in him. I also want to thank Ms. Nipur for Punjabi, Nupur Punjabi of Anna Sudai Kitchen for providing us excellent vegetarian meal today, and I'm sure that you will all agree that the same was delicious, and the best is yet to come. I want to thank the audio-visual system by Leo and his team, Kathy, the event manager, and the hotel staff. Last but not the least, our Vandana ji. Where is she? Get up. Stand up. Vandana.
Varna is eating the food.
Nothing can happen in IDRF without Vandana's approval and without her involvement in all the activities. Alongside her is our own Niti. Where is she? They have both been the backbone of IDRF. Without we call and talk about Vinodji. In these days, Vinodji will be nowhere until they were there. I'm sure he will agree to that, because after his surgery and he lost his vision, he had to depend on someone. And he could not find better persons than Vandana and Niti. Last but not the least is our MC, who ran the program very well, Rajiv. You know, he has taken a big leap downward after working at World Bank to take this position of executive director at a minimal pay. That is not a pay, that is a reward for his services that he does all the time to make things going. And whatever we have paid, we have recovered 10 times more in terms of donations. We also want to thank Mr. Chandran, who is our videographer, and also somebody else who I may have forgotten, I don't know. Baluji, she is sitting there. Thank you very much. Manna, have I forgotten anyone? the, you know, IDRF cannot function without your generous support. And I encourage you all to contribute as much as possible to support the poor and the needy in India. You can pick up a pledge card. Prakash family will match all the donations made today. And I will match it to $20,000. And we are hoping that we will be able to raise more than $100,000 in donations plus matching grants, so that makes it $200,000. So think about it. It's not $100,000, it's $200,000. You know, I've said enough, and I'm sure you're sick and tired of listening to me. And I know everyone is looking forward to the nice vegetarian meal. So here you are, ready to get the meal. Is it ready? Okay.
Thank you, Sureshji, for those remarks. So we are ready for dinner. The way we're going to do it, so we don't have 160 people all lining up at once, is we will start with tables 2, 3, and 4, these three. And then as they come back, then the adjacent tables flow out. And we have 2 lines there. The food is ready. As we get 15, 20 minutes into dinner, we will actually have a few short speeches from family members talking about Mom and Dad and what they have meant to each of us. Thank you very much. So we're going to start with Anjali's and my 2 children, Rahul and Tara, and then we'll go to a few other cousins. So Tara and Rahul, why don't you come up?
Sure, okay. So I sit down to write the speech for Dadi and Dada, and as I'm brainstorming what to say, I check my email, and I see a message in my inbox from Dadi and Dada wishing me luck on my upcoming spring break college visits trip, and they're sharing guidance and advice on how to approach it. And they end the email with, wishing you a safe journey and new experiences. I smile. Classic Dadi and Dada. I'm always so amazed by how present and engaged you both are in everything Rahul and I do, even in the midst of everything you are both doing and taking on. You both take such an interest in our activities and passions, and I'm so grateful for that. Dada, you are such a good conversation partner. I love our phone calls. We have the most interesting conversations, ranging from the Pakistan-India conflict to the population densities of various countries. You are so informed about the world and so hungry to learn more about it. I learned how to be curious from you, to ask questions, to wonder something aloud and learn something new. You've also taught me resilience, Dada. I really don't know anyone stronger than you. You faced and overcome the toughest struggles and have built so many things in the process. A family and a life in the United States, your nonprofit organization IDRF, which has raised over $50 million towards underserved communities across South Asia, and more, all captured in your memoir that is one of the many things we are celebrating today. From such an early age, I watched you live your life each day, fueled by a strong purpose and drive to serve others. You've inspired me to invest in service myself through Right to Right and Scouts, and shown me how serving others provides such fulfillment and joy. I'm so glad that we can celebrate today everything you've built and everything you've taught me and all the people around you. Dadi, thank you for cultivating in me a love of language and literature. I treasure our shared connection of writing. So many of my friends just never understand my love of a book or the way a sentence sounds out loud, and you always just get it. Whether it's Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass, a pile of clipped and yellowing newspaper scraps held together by a paper clip, or a poem you came across earlier that day, you are always bringing me words that caught your eye and spoke to you in some way. I remember when I was at the Interlochen Creative Writing Camp in Michigan a couple summers ago. You shared a book review on a book called Solitary by Albert Woodfox. It was one of the most moving book reviews I'd read, and I checked out the book from the Interlochen Library later that afternoon. The book, which charted the journey of a man who spent over 4 decades in solitary confinement for a crime he did not commit, sparked my interest in the criminal justice system and a lot of the work I've done since. And it's all thanks to Dadi sharing her love of this book with me. This is one of many examples of our shared love of literature and reading. And Dadi is just so good at that. When she enjoys something or comes across something she likes, she makes such an effort to share that with others and bring that same joy to those around her. So I'm going to end with a love list for both Dadi and Dada. My mom started this tradition, and it's basically a list of some of the many things we love about the people in our family. So here are 5 of the many, many things I love about each of you. So for Dada first, how you quiz me on the statistics of different countries and find current events so fascinating. I love our conversations about the world and all the things happening in it. 2, your laugh and how booming and loud it is when you find something really funny. 3, our shared love of sweets and our sweet tooth. You always offer me barfi when I visit. 4, your disciplined routine, whether it's your breathing regimens or regular runs on the treadmill. You've taught me so much about structure and sticking to schedules and plans. 5, you are the most determined, hardworking, and purposeful person I know. I admire how you take every single obstacle that comes your way in stride. Whenever I struggle with something or feel frustrated, I pause and think about what you would do, and that gives me direction. Okay, Dadi's turn. 1, how you love vibrant colors like reds, pinks, and purples, and when I show up to your house in a bright shirt, you smile and ask where I got it. 2, when you sneak me Werther Original hard candies when Mom and Papa aren't looking. 3, you make the tastiest, most flavorful food. Your chole and dal are my favorite dishes in the world. 4, how when I say I love a certain food, you offer me an entire Tupperware container filled to the brim with that dish and insist I take it home. 5, how you smile with your eyes. You are so kind and you love the people around you so unconditionally, and you've shown me how to do the same. Your optimism is infectious, and the way you talk about the future makes everyone suddenly have faith and believe things will turn out as they should, even in the midst of uncertainty. I could say so many more things about both of you, but I'll leave it off here. I'm so, so happy to be here and to celebrate you both with all the people who love you.
Good job, Dada. So, thank you all for being here today. I can't imagine the amount of work that was put into this to make this day happen, and I'm stunned by how many people are here in this room, all brought together by a shared love and admiration for Dr. Vinod Prakash. To many, Dr. Prakash is a friend, a cousin, mentor, father, uncle, husband, colleague. But for me, he's my Dada and my greatest inspiration. While we all know how incredible his life story and accomplishments are, I want to take this time to talk about the impact that he's had on my life. For those of you who may not know, writing is not one of my strengths, and English class was always a challenge for me since middle school. Yet every time I wrote about my Dada, typically in essays that asked me to talk about someone I admire, I, without fail, would get my paper back with a big smiley face and a superb, along with a big A on the front. And that almost never happened to me for English. For those of you who have read Dada's book, this should be of no surprise. His story truly blows people away, and I credit you, Dada, for helping me pass my English classes. But in all seriousness, my Dada has truly had a profound impact on my life. I've been lucky enough to have lived within a short 15-minute drive from him and my Dadi since I was 3, and have grown up under the guidance and wisdom of both him and my Dadi, who are the best role models a young kid in this world could ask for. Specifically, I want to talk about how my dada's blindness and perseverance on a daily basis inspires me. As many of you know, my dada lost his sight 13 years ago. I still remember the day it happened like yesterday. As my mom was helping my sister and I get ready for bed, my dad came in and told us the news, crying in my mom's arms. It was the first time I remember seeing my dad cry. Yet, in receiving perhaps one of the worst things this life has to offer, my dada didn't complain or feel sorry for himself. He got up, headstrong, and found the light. With the help from my daddy, he rebuilt his life from scratch. How to function on a daily basis, how to care for himself. It is the consistency that my dada displays that also inspires me. For instance, every day, since I can remember, he wakes up at 6 a.m., brushes his teeth, meditates, deep breathes, and stretches before starting his day. I challenge every one of you to simply try doing your morning routine with your eyes closed, let alone do Dada's routine. It is a near impossible task that my Dada does every day. So despite losing his sight, my Dada truly went above and beyond over everyone's expectations. He's a living reminder that you are not defined by your struggles, but by the way you respond. As I continue to grow and go through life, challenges and dark times are inevitable. But Dada reminds me that there is light in every situation, no matter how dark they may seem to be. I'm so lucky to be your grandson. It can't express how much you mean to me, Dada. We all love you.
Thank you, Rahul and Tara. That was both wonderful. So I'd like to now have a couple of cousins, my first cousins of mine. We'll start with Guriya Didi, and then my nephew Anki, who will speak for his mom's, on his mom's behalf, who's my first cousin, Madhu Gigi. So Guriya Didi.
Namaste to everyone. I'm really happy to be the part of this occasion. And let me introduce myself. Mrs. Vinod Prakash is my buaji. She is my father's youngest sister and Fufaji. I want to tell you all, my name Ruchi, which I love my name, was given by buaji. My eldest buaji wanted to name me Rashmi, but she was there, Sarla buaji was there, and she said, no, Rashmi is an old name. We'll name her Ruchi, because it's a new name. And at that time, it was new. So, and I love my name, and my friends and family tell me I live up to my name. So thank you, Buaji, for giving me my name. I vividly remember Buaji and Fufaji's whole family's visit to our homes, to our home in Ranchi when they used to come every 2 years. We cousins would have a blast. And the best part was when she would open her suitcase with all the foreign commodities which we used to get. And that was a rare thing at that time. Long time. In India, we didn't get those things. So we were always so thrilled and happy and, so that I really remember a lot. Then she would make it a point to take all of us to one of the nicest Indian restaurant. At that time, it was called Sheetal Chhaya, and it had 1 meter long dosas. And she would take pictures of that, and we were so thrilled about that. Those are some nice memories I have of those times. I also remember one more thing, that Buaji and Fufaji would make it a point to take pictures. And colored pictures were a something at that time, to get colored pictures. We used to have black and white pictures. So every 2 years, we got colored pictures, and Buaji made it a point to mail it to us. And I would really beg my mom to give it to me so I can share it with my friends in school. And they would be so jealous. Oh, Ruchi, you're so lucky. Every 2 years, you get colored pictures. So that was something I got because of Buaji. And I could show off my Buaji lives in America. also used to have a great time with both my cousins, Sanjay Bhaiya and Gautam. With Sanjay Bhaiya, I know he taught me a lot about foreign country and, about the cities he used to visit. And I was so curious and I used to ask him. My geography was poor, maybe. He used to be so surprised. I don't know where Madrid is. I remember. It was really funny. And Gautam was always and is always my favorite fun cousin. Anyways, so we moved to United States in 1996. And since then, Buaji and Fufaji have both been a very big influence in my life. Simple things like, every phone call I made to Buaji, I always learned something. She taught me how to keep connection with all the family members, whether it's by letter or card or email. And that's the trait I have picked up from her, how to be connected to everybody and how to compliment everybody. Anybody is looking nice, that's the first thing she'll compliment. I love that about her, and I've picked that up from her. So thank you, Buaji, for teaching me that. Also, Buaji taught me when I came to this country, I was not very open to other cultures and other friends or people from other parts of the other countries, like say from Korea, Japan, and all those. She's the one who taught me and, how to come out of my comfort zone and do that. So she has made a lot of, impact on my stay in United States. Fufaji, I have really learned the art of social work. And I think after talking to them when I was in Cleveland, I had decided whenever we settle down properly, I'll surely enroll in some voluntary work, do something. And the art of giving, I really learned from him. I don't think I had this trait when I was in India. I wasn't taught that. I'm really sorry, but I learned that from Fufaji. So, and of course, there are many more things. I have to give others to say, things. But I do admire Fufaji's fortitude, his tenacity to make the most of life, even when he lost his vision. He is and will be my inspiration to never give up despite all odds. Thank you, Buaji and Fufaji, to be in my life. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So as Mamaji mentioned, I'm giving this speech written by my mother, Madhu Goyal, who unfortunately could not be here today, on behalf of our entire family. I'd like to take this opportunity to present my heartfelt wishes for respected Masiji at this precious milestone celebration. We are all aware of their extraordinary contributions to IDRF. My words are based on my personal experience. When we moved to the US from Malta in 1988, we lived with them when they helped us in our initial transition. They were tremendous sources of inspiration during that time when we were applying for residency, as well as raising our 7-month-old Mansi. Mansi learned how to walk with Gautam Mamaji's help, taking one step at a time gently. Masiji taught me cooking, various American traditions and culture. These memories are very vivid in my mind. It seems like it just happened yesterday. I talk to Masiji frequently. I feel you can get advice on any matter, whether it's cooking, raising kids, or how to solve difficult relations with friends. I sometimes feel I should write every word of wisdom spoken from her mouth. I can go on, but I have to end now by saying that in life, you have choices. You choose your friends, your art teacher, your personal trainers, etc., but when it is family, it's gifted by God. May God give me the same Masiji, my brothers Sanjay and Gautam, my sisters-in-laws Renu and Anjali, nieces and nephews Anisha, Rahul, and Tara. Masiji, wishing you the best of health, happiness, and prosperity. Very rarely do we come across such intelligent minds and helpful souls. Thank you all.
Just a couple of more. So now a couple of nephews will speak. First, Vivek, who's from my father's side, and then Rajat from my mom's side. And then we'll end with my first cousin, Raju Bhaiya, as a final speaker. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Vivek Indrayan. I happen to be from Dadaji's side of the family, as Gautam Chacha just mentioned. And for those who don't know, he's my dad's Chacha. So I saw a lot of parallels in what some other people already said, because I am technically like his grandson, and I'm also relatively new to North America. I've lived most of my life in India, over 30 plus years in Bangalore. And I moved to the US about 6 years ago. I'm based out of Canada now. So my earlier memories of Dadaji and Dadiji were when I was a kid or when I was a teenager and when they visited us in India. And my parents hosted them several times. I remember us going on some trips across the state, some really good times and conversations, all based on photographic memories. And I remember one of the first remote-controlled toy cars I received as a kid. It was like very funky, was actually from them. And well, I had that car till I was about 32 years old. I just had some, it wasn't working, of course, but I just loved it. And that kept a lot of fond memories. So but when I asked my dad, about Dadaji, and like my dad used to help him with a few things in IDRF, I think, in India. And when I asked him, like, why are you doing this? You're already busy with your business and so on. He would say, you need to understand him. You need to understand the values he brings and the beliefs he has. And if whenever you grow up, if you ever move abroad, I'd really like you to embody his values and embody the kind of person he is. And then, of course, adult life took over. I was working. My dad passed away in 2003, so it's over 20 years now. When I moved to the US, he was one of the first people to call me as soon as I landed here. I have a lot of family in the US, spread across coast to coast. He called me, we spoke for a long time. He inquired if I was warm, if I'm settled. He asked me about my coursework, and we continuously kept in touch. In fact, I will say he's the most regular caller in the family, and I really look forward to my conversations with him because he is amazingly curious. He is very humble. We can speak about a variety of topics: politics, technology, philosophy, immigration, so on, career advice. He likes to talk to me about AI these days, and he has more things to say sometimes than I have about AI. So that tells you, his zest for life. I'm not going to say much about IDRF because, I'm not very privy to that, and a lot of you already know that, and that's phenomenal. But now I started realizing why my parents, and specifically my dad, adored him so much. Again, he's an incredible human being, blessed with great intellect, patience, humility, service-mindedness, and all of that is supported by the wonderful Dadiji with all her warmth and affection, who again has always reached out to me, written to me, and been in touch. And she's really been a pillar of strength and support to Dadaji. On behalf of a few family members of mine who could not be here today, I again deeply thank Dadaji, Dadiji, the entire family, extended family, Gautam Chacha, Sanjay Chacha, Chachi, both the Chachis and my cousins, for inviting me here, for making me a part of this very, very special occasion. And again, I really take inspiration, and I hope to, embody some of his values. And again, I thank them for their services to several lives across the world, worth several lifetimes. Thank you.
It's much more nerve-wracking once you're up here. It seemed so easy in my head. Okay. Namaste, Dadaji and Dadiji, and hello to everyone. I'm Rajat Arya. I'm the grandnephew, I believe, of Vinodji and Sarlaji. Sarlaji is my paternal grandfather's youngest sister. I call Vinodji and Sarlaji Dadaji and Dadiji because they have been my grandparents in the United States my whole life, attending every major milestone: my high school graduation, my college graduation, my wedding in India. And as you may have already heard, they were the first people in my family's lineage to come to the United States. Almost every member of my family in the US is here today, and every one of us can share that Dadaji and Dadiji's influence in our lives has been much more than blessings, guidance, and nurturing. For example, my wife Shelley, who couldn't join us today, she's home with our two kids near Seattle, she would share how Dadaji and Dadiji helped her settle into America when she emigrated from India and we lived in Arlington, Virginia. They understood the experience of emigrating far better than me, as I've been here since I was a year old. Instead, I want to talk about something else. I want to talk about how throughout my life, Dadaji and Dadiji encouraged me to embrace my Indian culture and Hindu religion and blend it with my American culture. From giving me books like Daddy, Can I Be a Hindu?, to taking me to see Salaam Bombay and the Joy Luck Club in theaters. Both were the first times I cried at the movies. To encouraging me to research about Diwali in a pre-internet world, by the way, and present my findings to guests at a party in their home. To smiling and eating my incredibly basic Indian cooking when they visited me in Seattle early in my career in 2003. I'm still using the raita masala that Dadiji made for me back then. They imparted to me the importance of preserving Indian culture in America, the commitment to service that is in our family, the Arya Samaj, to remember and celebrate the traditions and rituals we have, and to proudly speak our language. Hum sab yahan rehte hain, lekin Bharat hamare dil mein hai. Translated, this means, even if we live here, India is always in our hearts. Drawing from both cultures has brought a richness to my life in small and large ways. From my comfort foods being dal chawal, which is lentils and rice, to surprising my parents in asking for an arranged marriage from India. It has imbued me with a sense of purpose that guides me, humbles me, and reminds me that there is more to do. That here it is our duty, as individuals, to maximize the opportunities we have been given by simply living in the US, for all those in India more talented and more deserving without them. So what does having a blended culture look like for me today? I want to share a small story. Last Saturday, I was playing Holi at the official Redmond City Festival of Colors with an Indian DJ blasting music and all of us throwing colors on each other. My kids dancing to the Bollywood songs like they do at home, drinking mango lassi, and enjoying the celebration. The next day, we went to their Gurukul Sunday School for 2.5 hours of 100% volunteer-taught Hindi language and Indian culture. And we continued our new tradition of attempting to only speak in Hindi on Sundays as a family. That afternoon, we went to a park to throw an American football and ride a zip line. And that evening, we did something together that is universal around the world. We played video games. So in closing, I hope that I have started to teach my children the same lessons that you taught me. I hope my children, as ABCDs, go from American-born confused desis to American-born cultured desis, with the same sense of admiration and devotion to India as you've given me. Thank you both. I love you, and I hope in the second half of my life to honor your service to India in my own way. Namaste.
Shubh Sandhya. Being the last is always either considered to be something very good or very honored. The main reason I'm the last person is that I'm the eldest cousin. So one of the underlying themes you all heard about, and by the way, just like others said, I need to say, Sarla is my youngest aunt, Meri Buaji, and Vinod Fufaji. Now, you heard from everyone. There was this underlying theme of all the things they learned by being either coming to US or being associated with Buaji and Fufaji. I happen to be the first recipient. Buaji and Fufaji were the first to come to US, and then there was a long gap before somebody from our family came. And I can go on and tell you how Buaji taught me how to do grocery, how to run a washing machine, and Fufaji would take me out on his bug and explain to me why you need to buy a car that uses less gas. But that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is that all these families had a parent. And Buaji and Fufaji have been my parent ever since I came here. Ever since I came here, and in many ups and downs through which all of us go, they have always been there. I remember the first year I was here, Buaji told me to come for Thanksgiving. I didn't have enough money. I was a graduate student. She sent me a check to buy the train ticket. So I've been blessed to have known them. And of course, Gautam and Sanjay grew up. And because we were on the East Coast, we used to visit a lot. So we got to see them, how they grew up. And I still remember we went to one of these parks where I won a big, it was a big stuffed toy, stuffed bear. And I said, let me take this to Rhode Island because my son is going to come. Rajat was just born. And Gautam said, no, let me play with this. When he comes, I'll give it to him. And by the way, he did give it to him when Rajat came. But in thinking about what we all learned, is we have learned that we cannot always only take, we have to give back. And each one of us will give back in a different way. Not everyone will give it back through IDRF. Not everyone will give it back by doing something. They'll all do something. Because we are not born only to receive things from others. There are different age groups. When you are young, you don't have time. Maybe all you do is contribute for a good cause. Make a certain percentage of your salary that you say, hey, I'm going to contribute this for a cause that you believe in. Because no matter what the cause, one needs to understand that we are blessed. We had the opportunity to get good education. We came from families that could afford to send us here. It's time for us to help people who are underprivileged. That's what they both taught us, both Fufaji and Buaji, that how do you do this? The other day I was talking to Fufaji and he said, well, you're coming and you write poetry, can you write a poem? Now, I'm not that good that I can write a poem instantly. So I thought of a poem that's very apt for both of them. So I'll just recite a few lines, and it's from a very famous author, Maithili Sharan Gupta. And this is actually what I have learned from them. Nar ho na nirash karo man ko. Nar ho na nirash karo man ko. Kuch kaam karo. Jag mein reh kar kuch naam karo. Ye janam hua is arth na ho. Dekho jisme ye varth na ho. With that, I'm blessed to have a Buaji and Fufaji like that. We all are blessed. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone, for coming. I think the food is still there. Please chat and spend time with each other. And thank you again. As you could tell, this is the first event that we've done around IDRF and, of course, around Dad's memoir. We apologize for any oversights and appreciate your patience. And again, thank you all for coming.